Well, good morning. You're watching Morning at 10 TV. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm Flavia, and this morning on Take Note, since some children are on holiday, other parents are getting ready for their children to come back on holiday, others are praying, oh, this had better be a short one. I'm not ready for this. But one thing we're never ready for is the finance discussion, budgeting for the family. Your home is going to be filled with people. Every morning you wake up, people must be fed, things must happen. The kids want to do this activity and that activity. Now there's extra classes, there's STEM classes. Everything costs money. And then forget December, January will come, and then you're not ready at all. So I thought we'd have a discussion around budgeting or having a finance discussion about the family. Joining me this morning, her resume is big, but we're going to try. She is the director of Money Cure and also the author of a new book called Just That, Money Cure. And it's aimed at actually helping you and I or get tools to be financially savvy. She's a financial coach, director of Excellence Enterprises, and also a PR and communications consultant. You have 15 years of experience.
Yes.
Barbara Katende, good morning.
Morning, Flavia.
How are you?
I'm fine.
You
I'm
and I have
excited.
already been having a nice conversation.
Yes,
So let's get the same juice to the people.
Okay.
So financial coach, you are the people who know what to do with whatever little you have. Because people feel like for you to budget or for you to be financially savvy or have financial freedom, you must be earning a lot of money.
Yes.
Yet even with your 10,000 shillings, you can make things work.
Yes. And I'm glad we're having this discussion. And the first thing I want to say is you don't need an MBA, an SCCA, PhD to be able to budget or to manage your finances. Basically, what you need is P5 math. So if you genuinely, and I want to underline genuinely, pass P5, you can handle your finances very well.
Really?
Yes.
P5 you are 10, maximum 11?
Yes, because it's adding and subtracting. This is what I have coming in, this is what I have going out.
Yes.
How do I make sure that it balances? And how do I make sure I'm not spending it all? I am saving some for that rainy day, especially now what you're talking about. We have to think about saving for January, because January is around the corner and it's going to be there.
And every year people have the same thing. January is bad, January is bad. But you know it's coming. You know it's coming. But outside of just, let's say, the holidays, let's have a conversation with the family, because that's our core today.
Yes.
Who talks about finances in the family? We're talking mother, father, before children, just husband and wife. We're talking husband, wife, extended family. Who has that who starts the conversation of finances?
Anyone can start it. And I believe that even when you come together as a father and mother, each of you is first an individual.
Yes.
Which means if I'm not able to budget on my own, I won't be able to budget with my husband. I won't be able to budget for my kids. I won't be able to budget for the extended family. So each of us as an individual, we have a responsibility. But when you come to the family, then the father and mother should have that conversation, which is a very difficult conversation to have, but we have to start having it.
Why is it difficult though?
Because finances, men lie about money, women lie about money, and you have these two people there blind to each other. And then of course now there are kids who you have to involve somehow because you're spending money on them. Then in our African society, we are talking about our relatives, the grandmother whose medical bills you have to look after, the sister whose school fees you're paying. We have all these dependent relatives. So it becomes a very difficult conversation to have. But if you don't have it, you're not going to survive.
You say men lie about money, women lie about money. And there's someone watching right now saying, must I tell my husband every single coin that comes in? Must I tell my wife every single coin that I make? Is that what it means to have financial freedom in a relationship?
Oh, in the ideal situation, that should happen, but realistically, it can't happen.
It can't, yeah.
Because, like, for men, it's not like...
Actually, I think some people achieve it, so let's not let's not say it
Those
can't.
are a few, because there are always outliers. But in most cases, if, for example, you are the husband and you came and said, you know, I'm earning 1 million shillings, what does a wife start doing? She plans with that 1 million. Let's buy a plot of land,
our
let's
money.
pay fees, and then he wants to go and watch a football match, or he wants to get a new phone and he can't. Now he has to beg for his own money, which is worked for. So it becomes difficult. Then also on the part of the wife, because we're the primary caregivers, if my child is sick at 3 in the night and my husband is saying there is no money, that's money that rushes that child to hospital. That money, the she money, if I declared it, then what would happen?
It wouldn't be there.
It wouldn't be there. If you don't have anything to eat and you have a child and you need to buy that last bit of milk, that's usually the money which the wife has that helps to save the family. So you have two people whereby they really don't declare everything, but you have to live together because you have to keep the family moving.
Yeah, so then let's bring it to now. Let's say in the realistic point of view, we're not talking about the outliers now. Say you've got a couple together. The money that is used in the family, Now let's start there. Where is it coming from? Is it pulled by one person? Ideally, is it two people? What happens there? The money, because we're saying budgeting for the family. There's money.
Yes.
Where is it coming from?
Now, the ideal situation would be the husband is working and he brings some money, the wife is working and brings some money. In an ideal situation, it would be maybe I have my account, my husband has his account, and we agree to have a joint account, and each of us is contributing, let's say a percentage, let's say 40% to that joint account, and that becomes the family budget. That's the money we use to buy the groceries, pay the electricity bills, the school fees, so that each of us has some money to do the things. If I wanted to do my hair, I don't want to ask for permission to do my hair. If my husband wants to go and watch a football match, really he shouldn't have to ask for that. So we could have that pulled together. That's the ideal situation. But we have to be cognizant of the fact that today it could be the man bears the entire burden, and you find that he's on
Say I'm a stay-home mom, and
yes,
I don't work.
And you're not working, you're looking after the children, which is really a job that's not being paid for. So he's bringing in the money. But we also now have ladies heading households.
Yes.
You are a single mother, you are a widow, and you are heading the household. So you have to be the person who's controlling the finances. So both of us have to understand that.
Okay. So no matter where the money has come from, it's now here.
Yes.
So then the burden, not really the burden, the responsibility of budgeting.
Yes.
Whose is it?
It is for both. Because and the reason
because most people think, let that Madame sentence is no, you figure it out for us.
Okay, because the fact that God never told you the day he's taking your husband to heaven, so he's in charge of the budget. You don't know anything about it. He takes him tonight. What happened? Do we bury you with a husband? Remember that the history we learned about the Egyptians, when the Pharaoh would die and they bury him with a wife, the kids, the cows. That doesn't happen. So if you stay away as the wife and you say it's him, he passes away today, then all of a sudden you have 5 kids and you don't know where to start.
Even the other way around. If the woman has been doing all the budgeting for the family.
And the husband has no idea.
Exactly.
So either way, all of us have to know.
So what is entailed in budgeting? Where are my priorities? Because I'm assuming a budget, I'm doing it as an individual now. I have priorities. I have things I must spend on in a month. Those are priorities. And then there are necessities, the basic needs, right? So I can't do away with them. Then I have the luxuries, and then I have savings. But that's me as Flavia, as an individual, before I get into the marriage. Then I have to consider, okay, what does me and my husband and I, what do we want? But before that, it's just me. Does it change with the family setting? Do we still have the same thing? There's necessities and then luxuries and then savings?
Yes, it is. Because in anything, just like you're saying, there has to be a list of priorities. There are the needs and the wants. So you don't spend on wants before the needs. You don't go and buy a phone before you have food at home. And you don't even buy food at home before planning and saving a little. Especially now, if we go back to the fact that December is ending and January is coming. If you don't, today in December, if you don't save for January, you're going to have a very, very hard time in January. So that's when we talk about paying yourself first. Paying yourself first means putting aside money for the future before you spend it all today. Because the money that you're spending is going out to someone else. When I spend money on Airtel and on airtime, it's going to the phone, whatever the person who owns the phone company. I spend money on fuel, it's going to whoever owns the fuel station. So when I invest, that is money that's coming for me. And that is going to cater for me in the future.
Okay.
Yes.
So my budget list should include priorities.
Yes.
The wants, the needs, and then we figure out what's more important. So when you have kids, because I know you were telling me about this, like if you don't have kids yet, that's different. If you have kids, that's also different. What changes there?
What changes is children are your responsibility. That you have your firstborn, and I'm looking forward to that, is going to be your responsibility for the next 21 years.
Okay.
Once you realize that you say, okay, because one day you say, okay, oh, Barbara is my friend, I'll take my child over to her. Look after your child for 1 month and bring them back. So for 21 years, that is going to be a responsibility. And the expenses increase. What you need for nursery is not as much as what you need for primary, is not as much as high school and college, and all this keep escalating. So that means if you don't save for that, you should actually start saving for your kids now before you have them, so that when they come, you're not overwhelmed.
So those whose kids have come back to holidays, or, they're back home now, you can't start managing finances now. You should have planned before they come back.
No, it's never too late.
Okay.
You start now. Actually, those who whose children are out for holidays, you should now start having a discussion.
Okay.
And right from 4 years with your children about finances. When you look at families that have been successful, let's say wealth that has come down generations, we look at
grandparents, great-grandparents,
yes,
father, mother.
and in Uganda we may not have many of that. If you look in the US, you know, the Fords, the Rockefellers, 5 generations, money is coming down. What do they do that we don't? They have a discussion at the dinner table about finances.
But what kind of conversation are you having, Barbara, with your children?
So you sit with your children and then you discuss with them, this is how money comes in. This is how we spend it. This is how we save it. This is how we invest it. So children start understanding from an early age that when I leave the light bulb on, it's not helping me. Actually, the light company is getting the money. If I'm going to wash dishes, I don't have to have the tap running because that is all water. The water bill becomes bigger. Let me put in this container and this container. I wash here and I rinse here. You start giving your children piggy banks so they start saving at an early age and they learn all that. Actually, even the gifts we should be giving children have to change. We should be giving them piggy banks. We give them financial literacy books. We should be buying shares for them, even here on the Ugandan Stock Exchange, because the shares are very cheap. So if you start buying shares for your children now, guess what's going to happen? You don't have to worry about their college tuition.
Okay. So initially I was listening to your when you're saying the priority list and said, we're going to have money as a family and let's say, for example, there's a family that has children. The children are back in holidays and one parent is saying, we really could do with a trip somewhere. You know, vacation somewhere. And the other person is saying, no, the money we have, let's, for rainy days. There's always, you know, you're two different people.
Yes.
In a family, there's always one person willing to just live life. We have 10 million, let's spend on this. Or the other person is thinking, let's invest for the children. How do you ever balance this kind of discussion in a family?
I think that is what we are doing here. Talking about you have to have a budget.
Yeah.
Now, a budget caters for everything. It caters for the investment. It caters for the holiday. It caters for saving. It caters for spending. So once you have the budget, you allocate a particular amount to it. So which means if I'm planning to have a holiday in December, for example, if I want to have a holiday next year, right now is the time to budget for it. So that it doesn't come as a shock and say, oh my God, now it's taking 80% of my budget. But if I've planned for it, I keep saving towards it. So when it comes, I enjoy it. You know, people go for holidays when they are stressed because, you know, when I come back, oh my God, I'm going to have this date to pay back. Exactly. So once you plan for it, and even giving, we need to give, we need, you know, to help other people, but even the giving should be planned for. For example, if let's say I'm earning 1 million shillings and I want to have a blessing on my life, I'll say, okay, I'm going to have some money, 100,000, which is for giving. So if Flavia come to me with a problem, I'll say, okay, I'm giving you 50,000. Someone comes, I give them 20,000 because my budget is 100,000. Now, should I exceed that budget this month and I spend 150,000, that means I've gotten an overdraft. So on next month's charity budget, I have 50,000. So if you start running your life like that, you're not going to get overwhelmed. And you'll be able to live below your income and you'll be able to save and invest. Okay.
You were talking to me when you and I were having a discussion saying that January should be planned now. And this is what? The 3rd of December. How am I planning for January?
First of all,
what can I do to, you know, make sure January is fine while I'm still here in December?
Okay, first of all, January is coming whether we like it or not. And sometimes we act like ostriches, we put our heads in the sun and assume
we get shocked.
It's going to come. So none of us, no one should get shocked that January will come, which means when January comes, I'll still need electricity in my house, I'll still need water, I'll still need groceries. So what do I need to do today? First of all, before you do any Christmas shopping, and I hope the parents and the families are listening to me, before you buy anything for Christmas, pay your child's school fees now. Because in February, they need to go to school. What is better, to take my child for a party and all these Christmas festivals and buy them gifts, or to make sure their school fees is paid? So that's the first thing. Secondly, pay your utility bills now if you can. The water bill, the electricity bill, because you're going to need all this, the rent. You don't want to be thrown out of the house after going for parties and all that, and then the landlord is throwing you out. Then buy basics. For example, go and buy a few kilos of sugar, dry foods, you know, rice, beans, and please don't buy them in the supermarket. Go to Chungo and buy wholesale and have these there. So you know, at the very minimum, you have food to eat. So if you do that, then you're not going to get overwhelmed like we do in January. Because I really wish I could take a picture of when I see people partying in December, and then you take a picture of them around 20th of January, and you're wondering, is this the same person? But you knew it was coming.
I think that actually makes sense if you think, and I think there are some families who are already doing that, that on 3rd December you go out and make sure there's that sack of rice, because it depends how big your family is really. Your sugar is there, your water bills are paid. I mean, now we have the system that's different, so you can put as much as you want to. The school fees is paid ahead, then you relax. So whatever happens in between, you have that. Now, when we're saying managing finances, I want you to help me understand those key things, because I know you did mention one of them you might tell me is to live within my means.
Below your means, not within. Within means I'm earning 1 million, I'm spending 1 million, so you're back to zero.
Okay.
Below, I'm earning 1 million, I'm spending 500. That is below your means.
Okay. So first we thought once you cross a certain bracket, just spend in that bracket. Okay, so the key things, if I want to manage my finances, I'm listening to Barbara right now, what are the things I should not forget? Because I like that you said budgeting for even the family is not for both of us collectively. Let's just think about me first. If I can manage my finances as an individual, then I can help my family manage the finances. So talk to us as individuals. Key things with a 5, 4, 3 that we should not forget, we should live by.
Yes. First of all, like you're saying, live below your means.
Okay.
Yes.
So not within our means. We've been getting it wrong.
You're getting it wrong. It has to be below.
Do you know that's what we preach?
You know that's you know when you talk about people living hand to mouth. So that means you're a paycheck away from being in debt. Because now if next month NTV closes, then what? Because you've spent all the money.
You're living within the means.
Yes, but if you live below, then you can now whatever be able to survive when that doesn't come in. So, and if you keep doing that, then you know, really the ideal situation is you should have money set aside for at least 6 months to be able to maintain your standard of living even without a job. That is not going to be done overnight. You begin consistently. So that's the first thing. Then secondly, pay yourself first.
Help me understand that,
before I pay anyone else, before I pay the water bill, the electricity bill, the grocery bill, and buy a new shoe, have I invested? Because whenever I invest, I am paying myself first. When I put money aside on a savings account, when I put money aside...
So I can't reach it also?
That's the whole point. You have to put it where it's difficult for you to reach. Such that the steps you have to go through, you must have already thought about, is this going to be beneficial? Or I've seen a new shoe, I can't just go and get it. I have to think first.
Because sometimes we create the rainy days in our heads. And you go and start tagging at the savings. Okay, so one is... Forget what we always preach. Don't live within your means. Live below your means. So if it's that 2 million you're earning, your lifestyle should be at 1 million shillings. And I think we've said that before. They said that if you can afford, for you to be able to afford something, you must have more than that money. I think they said that. They said that if your phone costs 3 million shillings, you must have at least 5 or 6. That means you can afford the phone. But if you have 3 million and the phone is 3 million, apparently you can't afford it.
When they steal that phone, how do you replace it? So because now at that level, now you can't go below.
So if you have 40 million shillings and the car you want costs 40 million shillings, you can't afford the car.
You can't.
You can afford a car of like 20 million because then you have something else.
You have, because you need to fuel that car.
Exactly.
You need to,
So you've given us two things. You've told us to live below our means, and the second you've told us to sort of know our finances and rein it in. But what are the other keys for us to manage? Especially, I want you to talk to those with families now. They have children back home. They have extended family. They have caretakers, a support system in their home. What are those key things they should really live by for them to manage them?
First of all, like, increase your income streams. Now here I'll talk directly from the Bible, and I'm going to quote because I want you to go and check it out. Ecclesiastes 11:2 talks about 7 streams of income. So if 7? Yes, actually it's 7 or 8. Aye. So many of us have 1 stream, and you're like, and you wonder, why aren't you making ends meet? Even 2. Why aren't you making ends meet? You have 2 streams. What? You talk about 7 streams, which means you diversify. So you get your pay from MTV. Instead of eating all of it, you say, now, what part am I going to use to create another stream? Am I going to invest it in shares so that becomes a source of income? Am I going to buy some real estate, maybe rentals, that is going to become a source of income for you? Am I going to start a small business, even if it means making chapati and selling it, and that brings income? Because once you get this 1 stream, are you diversifying? If you talk to people who have been financially successful over a long period of time, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, and you had an honest discussion with him, because most people won't tell you honestly, they're not relying on one thing.
They have many things bringing in money.
There is no business that goes like this. Business is up, down, up, down, up, down. But why are they financially stable? It's because when real estate is not doing well, the shares are doing well, that's not doing well, the bonds are doing well, because they have different incomes.
Yes.
So, and that's what we need to start doing today. And these streams are not developed overnight. It takes time. So once you know that this is what I'm planning, and this is a good time as any, because we are now putting together our resolutions for next year. And you say, I'm going to start working towards that. So if by the end of year you've developed 3 streams, you're good. Then you go on the next year, and until you get to that point. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's the Bible telling us 7 streams of income.
Or 8.
Let me see what I have. I have about 3. So
you're already on your way.
I'm on my way.
Yes.
Yes.
And you're on your way, and what you should know is you've not yet arrived. None of us
has, 3, 7,
but at least you know that this is where I'm going. You know, at least if you say that is where I'm shooting to. So instead of going, because if you don't even know it, you're moving backwards. So once you know that this is where I'm going, you're on the journey. Yeah.
That's key. I had never thought of it. I think that's the thing. Sometimes, because you can't get all the money you need to progress in life from one job. Maybe some people can. But even the people you think are earning so high are...
It's because you're not talking to them. Because when you have an honest discussion, you find that underneath all this, there's something. Maybe there's a pile of debt, and something else I could talk about is debt.
Yes.
We need to get out of debt. And in Uganda, where people are so much in debt, and we're caught up with things which really we shouldn't be doing. For example, you get a job, Flavia, and everyone is happy for you, have this job in NTV. You work for 3 months. The first thing is, I want a salary loan. After getting the salary loan, you go quietly and say, and now I want a salary advance. Now you're adding debt on top of debt. Then you go quietly to the accountant and you get an IOU under the table. So that is more debt. Then you need to drive a car. After all, everyone is driving. And these banks are coming to us. So you get a vehicle loan.
Why not?
You're tired of renting. You get a home mortgage. Now you're caught up in all
You're financing debt.
Yes. And we keep adding one debt after another after another. Then you start borrowing from your friends. And you know what happens? The relationship dies. Because if you borrow and you don't pay back a month, 2 months, and you wonder, oh, so-and-so used to be friends, why aren't they friends anymore? You find it's some money discussion or something between them. Then you borrow from relatives.
Then you also sour those relationships as well.
Yes.
Oh, man. We're pressed for time, but if you're going to take anything out of today's discussion, maybe it's what I took out. You know, Barbara, I don't know what people at home have taken out. 2 things. One that we've always gotten wrong, do not live within your means, live below your means. And the second one is to diversify. And I think what I also learned from you, Barbara, is that we should not diversify in the same category, same industry, because, as you said, if real estate is doing bad, you know, shares are not doing bad, something. So put your hands everywhere. We're Ugandans, we're hustlers by nature. So do it. Sell your chai here. I know people in the workspace, corporate. They have passion fruit here, they have this here, they have that here. So do that. Bring in as much money as you can. In fact, you might find that one hustle is paying for rent.
Yes.
One hustle is luxuries, one hustle is savings. So very, very key information. Thank you so much for your time, Barbara.
Thank you so much, Flavia. I'm excited to be here.
I love talking finances, so it's been wonderful for me. That's it from Morning at 10 TV. Catch you tomorrow. Enjoy your day.